guess, with a like big kind of an open area.
Sure. Was there any distractions there, or was it just the open area?
I mean, there was
many people
and like ran because it's like right where that gold like Jefferson statue is.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
So there's like a bunch of dogs that run free in that area.
Yep.
We were on the other side of it, but
sure.
You could like see him running around. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, because I know by the there's like a playground there.
Yeah.
And then like right there's like the bowl, I think is what they call it, and there's like off-leash dogs there usually. Because we meet, because there's two statues. There's the gold one, and then a little bit more east, there's the like a teal color. I think it's teal color. I've been there so many times now. I don't know the color of the statue, but that's where we meet for our pack walks and stuff. I actually saw a coyote over there once. Like,
oh, really?
Like just midday, just coyote. Like from like where that tree is right there.
Yeah.
And we were here, coyote.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There were birds like swooping down on it and stuff, I guess trying to like scare it away. And I don't know if something was wrong with it because it just wasn't, or maybe it just didn't care.
Yeah.
But it was just like wandering out like 4 or 5 o'clock, just coyote. So, cool. So what we'll do is we'll leash them up. We'll do a quick review of what you guys remember, how you practice, and then we'll move on to the next phase. Okay? Any questions?
No.
A lot of kids here recently.
Yeah.
On Monday, I was here with a client. He has a not so friendly Doberman, and he was muzzled. Like 30 kids, but like nobody like really watching them. They were just like they were like kids just peeing on trees and stuff. Yeah. It was really crazy. I just turned around and I see a bunch of kids peeing on a tree, and I'm like, what is going on here? And they're like running past the dog and everything, and you know, dogs train and everything, but I'm like, still, like, does anybody care about these, like, 30 kids just running around?
Right.
It was crazy.
Especially with the amount of dogs that are running around, too.
Yeah, you know, this is a pretty popular, like, off-leash dog area. So, yep. The 8 dogs. Ready, Pops?
He's like, go.
And what's your number at right now?
I have it
30? Okay.
Yeah.
Has it been inconsistent?
Yeah.
Do you guys have the long probes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll take a look at the collar, make sure that it's fitted correctly and stuff. Okay.
We tightened it a little bit from where we even have the tape marked at.
Sure.
And it seemed like it was like choking him. It was just like
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, if you hear that, then you loosen it.
Yeah, so that's what we did, but then it kind of just, it's like we need almost an in-between.
Sure. That's the one drawback with the collar with the long haired or thick coated breeds. Like Pomeranians are the worst because they have a tiny little neck and then there's just big old floof.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, we'll take a look at it. Okay. Good. Right, tap, 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 tap. There he goes. Good. Back, tap, because you want him all the way in. There you go. Now you praise. Attaboy. Could do a couple more, then we'll swap. Good. And then back tap, back, there he goes, attaboy. Good. Good, we'll release and swap handlers. Go and take some steps back, yep. Good. Praise.
Should we have him sit?
So what you can do here is going to pull up. There he goes. So because he's anticipating,
Right.
so what I'll do is add a little bit of time between each recall, like randomize it, so we don't create that anticipation. Otherwise, if you pull up on the short leash, it should just like register as a relaxed sit, and then if needed, you can give a tap just to settle him, and then wait a little bit, and then go into the recall.
Okay. Pablo, come.
Good. Good.
We're good to go.
And for Todd, when you give the recall, go ahead and take at least 3 steps back to initiate it. It'll help give him a little bit of momentum. And this is something that I do forever. So in case he's out of earshot, if you remote him, he should look for you. But then when he sees you going like this, he knows that he should return.
Okay, so do I tap and then walk back, or walk back and tap?
Pablo, come tap kind of.
Okay.
So after you give the come command, that tap moving back are like simultaneous.
Okay.
Good job.
Pablo, come.
There you go. Yep, back tap. Good. Very good. Let's take a look here.
But we've also noticed, like, when we don't have the power on him, he shakes his head.
Oh, really?
I don't know if
Yeah,
he
like-
thinks it's on him or.
When did you notice that?
Just this week. Yeah.
I'm wondering if we try to typically have the collar all the way up top.
Okay.
Because actually the neck is more sensitive. At the base, it can be a bit more top.
Down.
I know whenever anybody goes to battle, it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
yesterday there was 2 jazz bands playing.
Jazz?
Yeah. There's one with a cat dancer. Yeah.
Do they have like a stage or something?
No, they just set up like they were. I seen it before. They were here last time, and then yesterday they were over there.
Yeah.
But then another band set up over here, so it was 2 like going off at the same time. But yeah, there's this one guy that has a little passport, like flailing his arms around. All right, we're gonna see how he does here. Let's go and adjust our number.
Yeah, I brought it down to 8.
I'm feeling like underneath the probe that he's got so much fur there.
Yeah.
It's so dense. And then I just like kind of part it and stuff. We'll see how he does. What number are you at now?
15.
15? So we're going to put the short leash. You give them some test taps by the working number. I'm going to go back down to like 35-ish. Back down to 30. Yeah. Cool. Try it up higher. I put a little hole in the cage where I'm sitting here right now. It's all the way up here. Okay. So up higher is less sensitive, so we get more or less power ideally. Down here can be a bit more dense, more muscle tops, typically higher, but he's at the same number he was before. We'll see how he does, and then what I recommend is just when you put it on, marking that fur underneath, that will come back. Okay? Questions about this? So, for the recall, if you call Pablo, he comes to you, right, and let's say he's right here. If you were to move, what do you think Pablo should do? Should follow you, correct. So there's an implied stay, but the stay's a bit different. Most people stay is because they don't move, whereas this is kind of like heel, walk with you, stay with you, sit when you stop. Recall is come to me, stay with me, and then sit when I'm stopped, essentially. So if I call Pablo, and he comes to me, and I were to just move sideways like this, he should just follow. I don't pull out. It doesn't have to look any specific way. He just needs to move with me. So we're going to add in this little exercise. I call it my side step exercise to teach Pablo that implied stay with the body. Two purposes is one, it helps prevent that premature release. We're making it really kind of cemented in his brain, and when I call you, your job is to stick to it, okay, until I release you. The next thing is it may cause confusion. So you move away, you tap Pablo, he's like, what's going on? And he might just book it. So it allows us to force that mistake so that we can proof it, so that he thinks remote always means return, never to run off. Okay? So everything stays the same, except now we're just going to add these movements. So, we'll call Pablo, Pablo come, we move back, he comes to us, we want to let him settle first to get that sit to happen, the auto sit. Wait a moment, and like if he's here, I can move to the right like this. He should move in, let him settle. Then it might move backwards, a couple steps. He moves in, I let him settle. So you always want to let him settle first before you go to the next movement. Okay? We want to, any direction is fine, but forward like. So if Pablo's here or here, if I move forward, what does that look like? Yeah, it looks like you're here, right? Or if he's here and you turn like this, it's still forward body, so it's still listening to feel. So I move very awkwardly, just like either directed backwards or angled out like this, or even like this, ways that he doesn't know how to deal with essentially. Okay, so any direction but forward, like I really like let's say the dog's in front of me, they're not touching me. I like going backwards. People think like, oh, that's unfair. Like, how's the dog supposed to know? Because when you move, you make sounds. Like dogs are super aware, and you're just teaching him really to you. So even though he's not looking at you, he's still being mindful. So like the other day, I worked with a client, Walter. You guys have seen this in the videos. He's a Daycare client. Yeah. He's a mini collar now. And we were at a park where he kept staring at squirrels, but he was listening to what you were saying. She was telling him to down, so he was staring at the squirrel, and he was like down but staring at the squirrel. Yeah. And she's like, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, mentally he's engaged, but he still knows to pay attention to you. So it's just creating that level of awareness so that he's always kind of attentive to what you're doing, and it just helps prevent that runaway. Okay. So everything's gonna stay the same, but now once you complete that, let him settle first, and then go into movement. Okay. Questions? Alrighty. Yep, back, tap, 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 tap. Yep, tap, tap, tap. Good. Go ahead and bump it. Try like 35 or so. Tap, tap, tap. Yep. Bump it. You can see him fighting through it. Did you see that? tap, back, tap. There you go, right there. Good. Right, tap. Reel in a little bit, back, tap, tap, tap. You got it. Right there. Right. You're correct, good. Hold your position there. Now step on your, there it is. Good, you're good. And good. What's your number now? 54? 44. Good. Right, back, tap, draw him in some more. Right, back, back, tap, tap, tap. You got it. Careful behind you. Good. Good. Right, tap, right, good. Hold, let it settle, good. 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 Right, back. You got it, good job. Better. Good. And break. We'll do a few more, then we'll swap. Are you still at 44? Did you adjust it? 44. Yeah. I'd keep it there for now with the distractions. If he gives an overreaction, then we'll dip it down. Right? Good. Now what you can do here, Todd, is if you know you got distraction around and you have to tap him for because right there he was a little bit distracted by that dog, is you can step on the leash closer to his collar, so if he tries to book it, he's only got 4 feet or whatever. It'll be easier to correct, to get him to fix to come back, as opposed to having to always move backwards. There's no right or wrong there, but it's another thing that you can do, especially if you don't want him, maybe it's somebody eating their food or something, and you don't want him, because the tap sometimes will send them.
Right.
And then you saw him push through the first round, I saw his head going like this, and he kept going. So you were correcting and increasing, and as you get used to it, you just learn to get there faster so that the return's immediate, so eventually we don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay? Good. Right. Better. Right, good. Very good. And break. Good, we'll do 3 more, then we'll swap. We'll do 3 more, then swap. Right? Better. A lot better. Good. Good. Hey, so, they're calling the facility. No one's picking up. Check to see if someone has it off the hook, but she's outside. Good. And break. Good. 2 more. Hey, were you calling Maria or the facility number? If it was the 627, that's Maria. Okay, because that happened before with another client. They kept calling her instead of facility. Yeah, facility's it's the 661 number. Yeah, otherwise, if you called the right one, let me know. So, because the phone wasn't ringing. All right, thanks. Good. 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 And break.
I'm not wearing it right now because I'm outside. And I'm like,
Are you still at 44?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Good. Tap, 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 tap. Back. Tap, tap. Watch for your tree. Tap, tap. Good. Right. Good. Attaboy. Good. Thank you, sir.
What you want? That's weird. Puts her iced coffee in the cup. I called and I was like, because her menu was all complicated.
Good. Better. And here. Tap back.
So
Back.
in March, right before.
There he goes. Back. Yep. Work them through it. You got it.
Yay or
Regular
nay?
Coffee.
What?
This is regular coffee. Was the place?
It's on the cup.
Good. Here. Go in and put a keeper leash how it is. Just go into a heel. And then, now what you're going to do here is turn off that way. And pivot inwards. Cap. There. You'll walk towards Rebecca. Slow walk. Stop.
You can tell he's doing it.
I know. You guys want me to. Good. So we had a couple runaways.
Yeah.
So that's why we do this. Because you're trying to, when we're training, it's easy to get fooled by just like all the perfect kind of responses, or even with food, like in a room or whatever. Like, oh, dog's got great recall. Then you go out in the real world, and it's like, they don't really work that way.
Right.
So we do these. I have exercises that I do specifically for recall and heel to force these issues while you still have them on the long line, so that when he's off leash, we're confident of like, one, we've worked these enough times that we shouldn't have that issue. But two, like we actually had it happen yesterday where an off-leash dog ran up to our dog. This dog was friendly, so we weren't like worried about it. But then her dog took off after the other, kind of like here. And she was like, the lady was panicking, like I don't know what to do. And I was like, work through it, make it happen. Get the dog back, whatever. Dog was on a long leash, everything was fine. But I told her, I was like, how'd you feel? She's like, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. It was crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's real life. Except real life's going to be something scarier.
Right.
Not a friendly dog and your dog trying to play with it, So there was one point else when he got tangled up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it last week, working him through that stuff. It's a distraction. Realistically, not a real distraction because he wouldn't have the leash on him.
Right.
But there would be other stuff involved that would be getting his attention, whether it be another dog, something that spooked him or whatever. I had a dog shriek one time because he got wrapped up and just like freaked out. And the owner was like, oh my God, I'm like, make the dog return, because when you need your obedience to work, this is exactly the scenario. So all that was good. And you're still at the 44?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's working fine for now in terms of the contact and stuff, plus with like the distractions that we had around us.
Yeah.
Those side steps for the most part were getting better.
Yeah.
And he was following you a lot more easily. He should be like a shadow. Once you cue this recall, no matter how you move, he should just be there with you. I don't care where he lands, but like right here, I like how close he is. Like I want that level of tightness because that's what's going to prevent the premature break to like go play with another dog or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So question.
I don't think so.
All right. Let's go and swap handlers.
Yay or nay?
I mean, it's a good coffee. It's just they didn't. This is just throwing me off. I've never had a coffee. It's usually like in a plastic cup.
Pablo, come.
Yeah, it's good. Good. Better. Go ahead and pop them in the heel. Try to pivot. Yep. Bring them back towards Todd. Good crossover. Tap forward. Good. See how you ran up to that left leg? Good. Turn towards Todd. And then slow walk to him. And stop. Good. And break.
Those pictures of the dogs you posted are pretty nice photos.
That's built.
Wow.
Something of getting a camera
They're pretty cool.
so that we can take pictures too. Right, wait, let them settle first. There you go. Let's go down, let's go to 35. Good, and heel. Good, back to Todd. Attaboy, Pablo. Good. Slow to stop. Very good. Parking them right from there. Good. Break. 3 more. Nice. Good. So go ahead and pivot to face him. There you go. There you go. Good. That's fine. So if he ever, some of the sits, he like moves back a step to sit. I was like, that's fine. But that one was like super drastic. So then I would tighten that up. But then he moved in, so that was fine. Go down to 25. There he is, attaboy. Good. Oh, good. And break. Good, 2 more. Good. Right, back, tap, good move. Better. Right, back tap, you got it, good. Back, tap, back. Start to reel in a little bit as you tap. Back tap, yep, reel in. Keep going, there he is, attaboy.
Tap him, or can you just tell him to sit?
No, so if you tell him to sit, that becomes a sit.
Okay.
So you just tap to create the auto sit. Yeah. What I would have you guys do is when he sits on his own, if you want to incorporate some food, like cheese or hot dog, whatever, to start motivating him more to just auto sit, because he does it on the heels, right?
Yeah.
Typically, once the dog learns on the heel, they just transfer it over to the recall, no problem.
Yeah.
But I've noticed even since last time, he's kind of slow with it. So you could add that in to motivate him a bit more.
Okay.
Good. Break. One more. Good. Better. Good. 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 Pop him in the heel, bring him back. Very good. Good boy. Good. Yes, there's a couple of ways of. In most cases, dogs will auto sit because of the heel, like they're already familiar with it. But if they're having issues, one thing could be when you raise the number. I don't know if you saw how much quicker he was, how more attentive he was, how much more likely he was to just move with you as you. In the beginning, it was distraction. But once you bumped it to that 44 and you did a few reps with it, once you transitioned to Rebecca, like he was a lot better with it.
Yeah.
Because you're breaking through all that distraction. Because for him, like, you know, that dog, and there was something else going on over here, is like, he's just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you have to break through all that and go like, look, I don't care if you pay attention to it, but right now when I've told you something, that supersedes everything else in the environment, right? And then we went from 44 to 35 to 28?
Yeah, then I went back up to 30.
To 30? Okay,
Yeah.
so you bumped a little bit. And now we're getting essentially kind of that same level of response that we had earlier, but at a lower number. It could be contact, or it could be because we broke through all that distraction. He's just a lot more receptive, that he's not needing that much power. So, and the reason why I had you dip it was because for the sits, I don't know if you saw, like, it was a big reaction, and then it was pushing him more so away. Not terrible, and we're not wanting that. We're always wanting to come in, or just at least put that butt down so it's not so drastic. And then he was doing better with it towards the end. Like, you had a few good reps on that last little cycle where you just was automatically putting that butt down. That was good. So Todd had asked, should we say sit or tap him? If you say sit, then it becomes a sit. In my line of training, sit means put your butt down, don't move. So if I'm with Pablo and I call him to me and I tell him to sit, if I move away, he's not supposed to move now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So in obedience, your new command overrides your old command. So even if you say sit and then you say sit again, this sit overrides the first sit. So when a dog breaks position, a person's response is typically to repeat the command. I don't repeat commands. I just correct it. Because for the dog, you say sit, they do this. They get up. You say sit again, they do this. But then seconds later, they get up and do that process. Because you're overriding. You're not saying don't get up from the sit. So if the dog sits, then they get up and I just correct, no repeat. or no warning, the dog thinks I put my butt down and don't move. That's how you create a solid sit without having to repeat it 100 times, you know? And it's like the most common thing that people struggle with. They'll say like, Jesse, my dog knows down. I'll tell him down like, 10 times and just keep getting up. I'm like, yeah, because keep staying down. Like, just make him stay down, okay? So, questions about any of this stuff here? Did I talk about like, because obviously we're building for realistic scenario, right? And talking about going to the field and letting Pablo be distracted, do his thing, and on the cage just calling him back. That's my favorite approach. But if it's the two of you and you go and like maybe there's nothing going on, did we talk about like walking away from each other with Pablo and doing a recall while he's moving?
I don't think so. We did it. I mean, there were times when we were at the park this week that we weren't by each other. He gets very confused.
Yeah, sure. So what did that look like?
He would just, like, if he was saying come, he would come to me first and then
Yeah. Okay. So that's a super common problem. So like, if Pablo's at that tree, someone was here, like even someone he doesn't know, and then you're here and you call him, he's most likely going to run to that person. Because he's thinking the faster I get to somebody, the faster I don't have to worry about the remote. Okay. Now if that happens, that's like an exception to the repeat, because to Pablo, he's thinking he did the task. Right. Somebody called, he went to somebody, just wasn't the right person. Then I will do another recall, because if you try to remote him off the person, he's gonna like jump on them and like try to climb them, because he's thinking like how much closer do I need to get? Yeah. So when I work with couples, like this act, calling from each other, is helpful to learn how to teach him to disengage from whoever he's with. Because a lot of times the dogs will just keep moving towards that person, and that's where the long line comes into as well. When you're doing this, did he have his long leash or was he completely off leash?
Long leash.
He had the long leash? Okay. Did you have it in your hand when you were calling him, or did you have it dragging?
I had it in my hand.
You got it in your hand? Okay. So he's over by Rebecca. So you called him, he goes to her.
Yeah.
And then what did you do there?
I tapped him until he came to me.
Okay. So one thing you can do here to help him more so kind of disengage instead of letting him fully lock on is, I don't know if you heard me a couple times, I'll like reel it in. Shortening the leash gives you a bit more leverage to get him to make the right decision faster, which is what we're trying to do. So like, let's say I call Pablo and I see him going to Rebecca, I start reeling in the leash as I'm remoting to try to deflect him before he even gets to her, okay? And you're trying to teach him here to come to the voice, not assume the nearest person.
Right.
And that's what just drilling like back and forth from each other, like having Pablo pass Rebecca or pass Todd and calling them past each other. So he's learning to ignore whoever's in the middle and coming straight to that person. Also very important why we do that movement back. Because if you're like at the park and there's a ton of stuff going on and he can't hear you and you tap him and he gives you, he turns around and he sees you, you differentiate yourself from the environment because you're moving like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just getting real, making it a habit of always moving backwards. And then some people live in crouch as well, and they'll like run back to like draw the dog in even more. That's perfectly fine. Whatever helps him kind of figure out what he's supposed to do through the remote is fine, and then you can even feed as well. Okay, if you want to add more incentive for him to really pay attention to who's calling. Okay. Other questions? So another thing that we can do to make this more realistic, let's say you go in an environment and there's not the distraction that you need there, is when I work with couples, like let's say right now Todd's got the short leash, you would let your leash go, but you would hold on to the handle, and he would simply just walk away with Pablo. And as he's walking away, you wouldn't let him get the full 30 feet. At about 10 to 15 feet, you would issue the recall, so it gives you 15 to 20 feet of slack. And Todd would simply just keep moving to remove himself from the picture. Ideally, we want Pablo to deflect or turn around before tension kicks in. That's the idea. We always want him to kick in to the command with the remote leash if we need it, but we're trying to build to that response because he might get confused. And you'll see him moving in closer because he's thinking wheel, and then he's got to process like what's going on, and then you'll see him turn around, and then when you see him turn around, you're moving backwards to draw him in towards you, okay? So go ahead and let your leash go fully slack. You're gonna hold onto the handle like we have it. And Todd's just gonna walk, no heel here. Just gonna walk with Pablo And 10 to 15 feet in is when you're going to give that recall. Start tapping, and then for Todd, as soon as you hear a call, you'll let your leash go and just keep moving so that you end up getting out of the picture. Because at some point the tension may kick in. That's what's going to help them figure out, like, oh, I'm not supposed to follow Dad. Something else is going on. Okay? Whenever you're ready. Now.
Pablo, come.
Tap, 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 back, tap, tap, tap. Good. And don't worry about the side steps here. Okay, we're just worried about the recall. Good. But you see how you ran up to Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, oh. Pablo, come.
Right. Tap, 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 tap. Good. Take a, yeah, there you go. Good, but he was about to do it on his own too, so that was good. Attaboy.
Pablo, come.
Yep. Tap, tap, back, tap, tap, tap. Attaboy. Good job. Right. Good. Good move. There he goes. Excellent. We'll try 2 more.
Pablo, come.
Right. That was a little better. Saw his head turn.
Pablo, come.
Good. We're going to go in and swap.
Pablo, come.
Right, back, tap, tap, back, back, tap. There you go. Attaboy, good. Back, good. Attaboy. Good move. Better.
Pablo, come.
Yep. Good, good. Nice, yeah.
Pablo, come.
Yep. Back, tap, tap. And back. Watch the legs. Yep, let him work through it. Good, good, good. Attaboy. Good, we're going to do 2 more. And what's our number now, Todd?
28.
Let's try bump. Let's go to 34.
Jack, the cat. Yep. The boy. Right. There he is. Good. Good. One more. Goes. Good. Go ahead, pop him in a heel. Bring him by over here, please.
Very good. Slow to stop. You guys didn't have a poop bag on there, did you?
We took it off.
The guy took it off, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, man, I thought I saw one earlier. All right. So, on the walking away, he's struggling. Right. So the next logical step would be we would advance to running with Pablo. But if he's not going to get it when he's walking, he's obviously not going to get it when he's running. So I would just practice this. Okay. I try not to drill these things too much because you can see where he starts to like, I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So like every now and then, I just throwing it in. If you're in a setting where it's like, oh crap, it's not as busy as we thought it was, or it's not as distracting. This is one way to recreate the realistic scenario because dogs are typically running away, chasing something, or running towards something they shouldn't when people are needing the recall to absolutely work. So this is like the next way to kind of advance that. What we're looking for is, again, right when you issue the recall, and not with the tension, he's just turning away from whoever he's with and running back to whoever called him. Once you get that consistently, then I make it more difficult by adding in the jog away. And then you have to be quicker though, because since you're moving faster, you only have so much time. But once you get the walk, it should be easier to get it on the run. Another way to incentivize it was just kind of bumping it a little bit. Like, so we went from like 20 something to 34, yeah, to see if that would help him. So you have two approaches technically. One would be when you could just start feeding on the returns, even though he's not doing it correctly, to start helping him connect the dots of like, oh, like there's something going on here. And that might incentivize him to just start disengaging from his walking with and going to who is calling him. Also adding it in for those auto sits for the recall. Or I play with the number, okay? But don't be surprised if you end up going up higher, that you end up seeing a little bit of panic before you start seeing the actual result that you're looking for, okay? So there's no right or wrong, I leave it up to the owner as personal preference. Questions about that?
As far as like if we get him to come down when we're walking and then we start running, we haven't really been able to run with him on a leash. He always just tries to bite the leash.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and jumps and like gets excited because he thinks we're playing. So it's like, I don't know if there's a good way to correct that in general for.
Sure. So what I would do is when you're walking Pablo, have him collared up, walk a block, jog a block. Okay. And when you go to jog, shorten your leash like you would hold it. I think that's how you were holding when you came here, right? One hand here, one hand here.
Yeah.
And just start jogging. And then when he goes to bite the leash, you're gonna, as you're jogging, pull up lightly and tap until he lets it go, and then relax.
Okay.
Okay. So you're correcting him for biting the leash.
Okay.
And it should taper him down because he's just thinking it's a game,
Right.
And it's like, no, we're running. And
Yeah, he gets super excited whenever I start like to try to jog.
sure.
And I got him away from it a little bit, but it's basically like I would have to do it like constantly just to get him to stop.
Yeah. Once we break that habit, and if you want, we can try it right here on the path. If you want to come on the short leash. We actually had that happen with the corgi yesterday. He's bad. He's bad.
Are we done with the long leash? I can.
Yeah, you can put it away.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
So should I lower the
You're at 34.
Yeah.
Let's go down to 24. And we'll bring him on the path here, and we'll see how if he does it. So by shortening the leash, you're giving yourself more leverage so that you're not having to be all the way like this.
Yeah.
When you try to tap him, you just want to be like this. So what happens is when he tries to grab the leash and you pull up, his body weight is pulling his jaw down, and it makes it really awkward for him to hold that leash. And then the tap, of course, is happening to disengage him, to deter him from putting his mouth on it. Okay? So try a little jog.
He's doing it now.
Is that your jogging pace?
Of course, now he's not going to do it.
Yeah. I saw a glimmer of it
He's like,
there. Yeah, like he's thinking about it. All right. So he may not be doing it because he just had the session,
Yeah.
so he's just dialed down a bit. But it'd be that simple. And I suggest walk a block, jog a block, walk a block, jog a block.
Okay.
It'll make it easier. And then once it's out the way, and like you'll notice right away, you're like, oh, this is it, right? And then you can just keep it going.
Yeah.
Does he already, like, is his stamina already kind of built up? Or
Yeah.
you-
I mean, he can sprint for an hour.
Gotcha. Now you can use the heel with the jog as well.
Okay.
If he does he run well with you, or does he tend to be ahead? Or
normally if we start jogging, like he'll go ahead.
gotcha,
Or he'll like jump up and just
Yeah,
like,
he just gets excited.
gotcha.
he just gets too excited. He's just,
Well, he also gets excited because when he's a puppy, he used to like run through lights to like make it. So he's like, oh yes.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, so walk a block, jog a block. There's something else in this. Once he gets that down, when a dog is in the heel, we're much more focused, right? So I had a lady that used to run her 100-pound black lab on her golf cart for like an hour every day, and this dog was overweight. The lady was like 7 years old, and she's like, he would drag the golf cart, and I was like, show me, right? I was like, there's no way this overweight black lab is running for an hour and not feeling it. He's literally just dragging the golf cart, right? So I told her he's so overstimulated, his body's not perceiving that he's overweight and should be physically tired.
yeah.
So we taught him how to heel with the golf cart, 10 to 15 minutes, and he was like, because now the brain was calmer. So with Pablo, if you see him running at your side, like kind of just dialed in, because he should be able to run with you like he walks with you, is you might see that he starts lagging. And almost all my clients that run with their dogs will tell this to me, that they're like, when I run my dog, they used to be all over the place, but now they lag. And I go, that's fine. For me, it's like they're finding a pace that they can keep up with, for the 1 hour run that they're going to do, whatever. So they end up going slower as opposed to before, because when they're so overstimulated, they're not feeling the tiredness. They're so amped up. So if you see that from Pablo, like I've had people on 127 tapping their dog, and they'll go right back to just lagging. So I just tell everybody now, it's fine as long as he's not ahead or like all over the place.
Okay.
If you see the lag, I just adjust a little bit, because he's just trying to keep a stamina that he can hold for the rest of the run.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, this is how I would set it up. Walk a block, jog a block, and see how he does.
Okay.
Okay. But it's a pretty easy fix. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Good. So we have some stuff to work on for the recall. I saw a few things that I liked, like him trying to book it in the beginning. Then it became a little bit more clear to him towards the end of moving in, so that was good. So keep practicing that. I think we did the long leash heel stuff before a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can, if you do some recalls, you can throw in some random heels, just to kind of get used to it. If you walk to the lakefront, you can even have the long leash, put them in the long leash heel, whatever, just walk. If you want to kind of build up to that, if you ever go out to like a cabin or like on the lake or like in Michigan or something like that, what a lot of my clients do, that's where they find they utilize it, because there's deer, squirrels, raccoons, and all that stuff. But they have the openness. But in case there's wildlife, they want to have that tightness. This is how we build to that. Okay. Anything else?
So,
All right. Good. He's doing good. Nothing out of the ordinary. And then next week, I'll have a placemat, and then we'll work on duration stuff. And that'll kind of give you the trifecta of commands. You have a walk with me, you have a come to me, and then we have a go here, don't move. And that's like the basic stuff that people need. And then that's easy to teach for the last class. Either if you want to do an overall review of everything, or if there's something specific you want to cover, like down or sit or whatever, we can cover that as well. You just let me know. Okay?
One thing I did notice, so yesterday we were sitting in our front porch area, it's fenced in, so he didn't have his e-collar on or anything. He ended up stealing her koozie and was like running around with it. And like, we couldn't get him stopped because he was like, he made it into a game, so he was like running away from us.
Sure.
Like, I don't know if there's like a way to do that without having the e-collar tap him, or...
Right, so one, you wouldn't want to give any obedience there, because a lot of people say come.
Yeah.
But the dog, he's in
play mode, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna, unless you have a means of making it serious, or you've done it so much that it is serious, like the dog's not gonna do it. What I would suggest is teaching as a release. Does he play tug or tug of war or fetch or anything?
Yeah, he likes to
I
play.
mean, he doesn't drop it.
Yeah, he knows drop it, he knows all that stuff. It's just a matter of him not wanting to do it, I think.
Sure, so you can actually condition, it just takes some time and repetition to drop it with remote so that it does become effective in that sense.
Okay.
It just requires, practicing it. So, like, let's say I have a dog that plays tug and they have a really good tug drive. Is I can put remote in that exercise and tell them to release something, and we do it on a regular basis. That eventually it seeps over into like real life, where it's like, oh, the dog picked up like a chicken wing, drop it, to just spit it out because it's been rehearsed so much.
Gotcha.
So, otherwise, I'm trying to think here. How much play drive does he have when it comes to things like that?
I mean, and yeah,
He loves to be chased. Like, his favorite thing to do in the dog park is to get a ball and just...
we'd
would
find a ball that
start
other dogs want and then just run away with it.
Which is why we don't take him there anymore, because he would go psycho.
Yeah. You'd only want the toy if the other dogs want it. Otherwise, he doesn't care.
Doesn't care about it for sure. That's
And then
funny.
he'd get very upset if he couldn't get to the toy that
Yeah.
everyone wanted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See if there's anything that at home you have. Tug of war is great because you can engage, then drop it, right? Disengage, whatever, and that gives you something to work on a daily basis, so that it does become meaningful in that sense. Otherwise, and this was in the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, all I do then is just pursue the dog, and I don't put any energy. I'm not like drop it, nothing like that, because he's in play mode.
Okay.
And you just keep pursuing him, and eventually he goes into a like, oh, you're not playing mode. This is like serious. And the dogs like sit and like tuck their ears back, and then they'll like spit out whatever they have.
Yeah.
But it can take upwards of 15 minutes.
Okay.
But if you're running after him like Pablo, give me back that koozie, it's the game.
Turns it into the game.
Yeah, so I'm just walking very slowly but surely until the dog surrenders it.
Okay.
I might even have some footage of it, of us. I'll have to take a look,
Okay.
because that's a good question, and I'll let you know. Okay. But yeah, if you have something he can play and engage with, and practice to drop it, I would go really low level on the remote, and then work your way up. So like if I'm playing tug, and then I stop and I say drop it, and I start tapping like on 5, and there's no response, 8, 11, 14, 17, 20, and then he spits it out, good boy, and then we play again.
Okay.
You're going lower because if you go too high, you'll kill the drive.
Right.
Because now there's putting rules to things, and then he's gonna think, oh, this is not as fun. So we always start low, super low, and then gradually work our way up.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Awesome. So we'll see you in a week, and if anything else.